People in these states will pay less taxes on their paycheck this year. Welcome back to my channel. It's me. State taxes vary greatly from state to state. While most states do have an income tax, they all tax at different rates and even tax different types of income differently. So, today, we are going to look at how much your gross income is actually going to be impacted by the state that you live in. Now, we've done videos like this in the past. This is an update because tax rates change periodically. We did one a couple years ago, but now we have new data for 2022. And this is important because when you're re-looking at your paycheck, your take-home pay, it's important to know how much of that is being taken out in state taxes. You may be saying, well, I don't pay state taxes. Well, that's not true. If you're in one of the 9 states that doesn't have an income tax, you're still paying it in other ways. Maybe it's higher sales taxes or it could be higher property taxes. All of that adds up. So let's jump right into this. First off, some states that don't have an income tax, just so you know, they are Alaska, Delaware, Florida, Nevada, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming. Also, there are some local income taxes that can add up to what you're paying in state taxes. For instance, here in Colorado, we don't have a state income tax. But if you live in one of our big cities, you have a city income tax. Denver has one, Colorado Springs has one, and even out here in the suburbs, we have one. We also have a county income tax, so that kind of adds up and can get pretty high. In fact, here in Colorado, according to a report that was done by the Tax Foundation, the average state and local tax burden in Colorado was about 6.3%. The national average was about 5.7%. That means we are above average when it comes to how much we pay in state and local taxes. So, if you're wondering where do you want to move to get away from that, here are the states that had the lowest average state and local tax burden. They are Alabama, Louisiana, Michigan, New Hampshire, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and Virginia. The average tax burden in these states is less than 4% of your gross income. However, if you're someone who makes over $1 million a year, well, those numbers can change dramatically. Let's dive into this with a little bit more detail. The Council for Economic Research maintains something called the State Tax Index. This index compares how much you pay in taxes across all 50 states when you make $40,000 a year, which is considered middle-income status. According to their data, Hawaii is the absolute worst when it comes to taxes. You lines pay 18.5% of your income to state and local governments if you make a middle-income salary there. If you make $1 million a year in Hawaii, you'll pay about 9.8% of that income to state and local governments. Now, let's compare that to the best one, which is Wyoming. If you make $40,000 a year in Wyoming, you only pay 3.4% of that to the state, and if you make $1 million a year, you pay them 1.5% of that. That's a huge difference. This next one is really interesting. It's a website that allows you to punch in how much you make a year, and it will tell you how much you pay in state and local taxes depending on where you live. So, let's say you make $60,000 a year. You can see in this example, if I lived in Hawaii, I would pay $13,800 in state and local taxes. That's nearly $1,000 more than I would pay if I were living in Wyoming, which is the lowest one. What about $1 million a year? Look at this. I would pay about $70,000 if I lived in Hawaii and $38,000 if I lived in Wyoming. And the crazy thing is a lot of people who watch my videos make $1 million a year. So this could be very useful to you. Here are some other examples. If you made $60,000 a year, you would save about $4,000 in taxes if you moved from California to Texas. If you make $1 million a year, you would save about $100,000 in taxes moving from California to Texas. If you're making $60,000 a year and you live in New York and you want to move to Florida, you would save about $5,000 in taxes. And if you make $1 million a year, you would save about $60,000 in taxes. New York to Nevada, $60,000 a year, you would save $4,600 in taxes. And if you make $1 million a year, you would save about $45,000 in taxes. Illinois to Tennessee, $60,000 a year, you would save $4,500 in taxes. And if you make $1 million a year, you would save about $42,000 in taxes. And here are some other interesting findings. There are 8 states that don't have an individual income tax, but they make up for it in other areas. Those states are Alaska, Delaware, Florida, Nevada, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, and Washington. The average effective tax rate in these states is 5.8%, which is still below the national average. The highest average state and local tax burden goes to New York, which is 10.5%, and it's followed by Hawaii, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and California, all above that 9% mark. If you're someone who wants to retire in a low-tax state, here are the 5 states with the lowest average state and local tax burdens on middle-income earners. They are Wyoming, South Carolina, Alabama, Louisiana, and Mississippi. I think it's important to know how much you pay in state and local taxes, because when you're looking at job offers, let's say you get 2 job offers and one's in Colorado and one's in Texas, all things being equal except for that, you get paid about $10,000 more in Texas than you do here in Colorado. Well, then you have to take into account how much you're going to pay in taxes, and in this case, you would pay about $4,000 more in taxes here in Colorado than you would in Texas. So then you got to figure out how much is that worth to you. Is it worth it to you to live here in Colorado and pay that extra $4,000 in taxes, or would you rather go to Texas, save that money, invest it, do something else with it? And also, if you're thinking about retiring and you're trying to figure out where you want to retire, well, this is something you need to factor in. How much am I gonna pay in state and local taxes? Because it can add up. I mean, we saw earlier, it can add up to tens of thousands of dollars a year. If you want to learn more about this, check out the websites we talked about in the description below. Also, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. I come out with new videos every single week on personal finance and investing. And if you have questions about anything we covered in this video, leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. Thank you.